I used to believe that the Quan, or training hall, where students would physically clash while learning techniques, was the ideal arena for martial arts training. It wasn't until much later that I understood the mind as the battlefield, where our inner struggles give rise to our external reality. However, I have come to see that the most fundamental, arenaed realm of consciousness itself is the ultimate battlefield. Back when I was a teacher, I used to tell my students to break down obstacles and push themselves beyond their comfort zones. But now I have to demonstrate to you how to rip the very fabric of your reality apart. Your patterns of awareness dictate your experience of life, not your body's resistance or even your mind's disbelief. Allow me to share what I found throughout my darkest days of focus and battle. Your fist, your intended target, and the empty space in between are the three components that make up a punch. Traditional martial arts concentrate on the fist. Modern fighting focuses on the target. But the great master, the genuine master, understands that power lives in the gap between, which I now refer to as liquid consciousness. Consider consciousness not as water that simply adapts to its environment, but as the force that modifies the container itself. In my own walk, I recall the exact moment when this fact became evident. I was practicing with my wooden dummy, repeating actions that I had done hundreds of times. But in a flash of clarity, I knew the dummy wasn't teaching me about battle. It was educating me about the essential core of consciousness. Each movement was more than a method. It was a manner of molding reality with awareness. You see, on this new battlefield, your toughest foe isn't throwing blows. It throws thoughts, sentiments, and habits of being at you, trapping you in unseen cages. The shackles that bound you are not made of iron, but rather of unconscious habits, inflexible attitudes, and constrained awareness. This is why I no longer only advise my learners to be like water. I educate them to be the force that propels the water. My buddy, when I broke through conventional martial arts to build Jeet Kune Do, I wasn't merely breaking through physical limits. I was pushing beyond the limits of awareness itself. Now I comprehend that Jeet Kune Do is more than simply the method of the intercepting fist. It is the skill of intercepting the patterns that shape your reality. This is why I tell you that the largest fight of our time is waged with information, rather than fists or boots. Every moment is a chance to break free, not merely from physical limitations or mental hurdles, but also from the underlying patterns of awareness that limit your experience of life. This is the new arena where actual mastery is won. And just as I questioned conventional fighting strategies, I now challenge you to transcend traditional ways of being. The next stage in martial arts isn't about hitting quicker or kicking harder. It is about enhancing the awareness through which you see reality, elements of modern combat. Let me share with you the three features of modern battle that I've acquired after years of experience. These are more than simply techniques. They are doorways to a new way of being. First, consider the mind as water. When I initially introduced the notion of being water, I highlighted bodily adaptability. But now I know water contains a far deeper reality. Water not only adapts to change, but it also causes it. When water streams continually, it carves canyons in mountains. This is what I call dynamic intention. Allow me to show this truth. Take a glass of water and stir it. The water does not only tolerate the disruption, it causes ripples that change the whole system. This is the way your consciousness should function. When faced with a setback in life, don't only adapt. Instead, unleash waves of change that affect your whole universe. This is the essence of deliberate fluidity. The second ingredient is what I now describe to as the new Jeet Kune Do. In traditional Jeet Kune Do, I taught you to dodge physical attack. However, in modern combat, you must learn to interrupt ideas before they become emotional prisons. A competent warrior reads bodily telegraphy. You must learn to comprehend the tiny signals of your own awareness. Here's the reality that I discovered. Every emotional response, every mental habit has a beginning, a definite location of origin. You may redirect your complete emotional state by capturing a thought at this time, exactly like catching a punch at its beginning point. This is mental pattern disruption at its most effective. Let me share an example from my personal path. When I first experienced bigotry in America, my instant emotion was wrath, but I learned to break this mental habit at its base. Instead of being imprisoned by emotion, I learned to grab the idea, like a great boxer, catching a hit, redirect it, and turn it into fuel for creativity. This breaks the hidden cage of preset reflexes. And now for the final element, which I refer to as the contemporary one-inch punch. You've seen me show the physical one-inch punch, which creates maximum force with little movement. However, today's one-inch punch focuses on awareness. It is about discovering the exact moment at which the simplest change in consciousness results in the largest life transformation. Think of it like this. When you throw a physical one-inch punch, the strength comes from the coordination of your full body in a single action. Similarly, when you align your consciousness, your ideas, emotions, and intention 7, the simplest action may result in massive change. This is the combination of intention and action. My buddy, I understood this reality while deep in meditation. A single instant of pure consciousness may change your whole existence, in the same way that a small stone can generate ripples across a pond. This is why I believe that the contemporary warrior's greatest strength is not in their talent, but in their awareness. You see, with the true one-inch punch, there is no wasted movement. Every fiber of your being functions in perfect harmony. Similarly, when your consciousness is properly aligned, no energy is squandered. Every concept, emotion, and objective works together to achieve major change. This is the foundation of modern combat, winning the delicate areas of awareness rather than battling external forces. When you comprehend these three elements, dynamic intention, mental interception, and conscious impact, you know that the ultimate battleground is not in the physical world at all. It is in the conscious judgments you make in the present. The modern classical mess. When I originally mentioned the classical mess I was battling against, I was referring to martial arts' rigorous traditions. Today, however, we confront a new kind of classical mess that lurks in the fundamental way we interpret reality. See, much as traditional martial arts trap soldiers in precise forms, modern brains are tied in inflexible cognitive patterns. These are the new barriers predetermined mental processes that we mindlessly obey. I'm not good enough. This is impossible. This is just how things are. These are modern-day invisible prisons. Allow me to explain a significant fact I've discovered. The classical muddle isn't only in what you think, but in how you think. Most individuals are locked in what I call pattern loops. They confront a situation, behave in the same approach, obtain the same outcome, yet anticipate something different. This is the present equivalent of a straitjacket of consciousness. Think of your mind as a teacup. Traditional wisdom suggests empty your cup to receive new knowledge. But I question, why stay a cup at all? The cup itself is the limit. Your awareness does not need a container. It must become infinite, like the sky. This is what I mean by transforming the container itself. Here's what I realized in my darkest moments of understanding. Whenever you remark, "This is just how I am," you're building the walls of your mental prison. The contemporary classical mess is not about physical limits, but rather self-imposed bounds of identity. I'm an angry person. I'm not creative. I can't change. These are the bonds we need to break, my buddy. Breaking free from today's typical mess takes more subtlety than physical force. It takes what I refer to as pattern detection and awareness. Just as a martial artist must detect their telegraph moves, you must likewise learn to recognize your preset mental responses. This is where actual freedom starts. When you find yourself falling back into old habits, remember this truth. The jail is not the pattern. The incarceration is the notion that you are the pattern. You aren't your thoughts. Your responses are not who you are. Your habits do not define who you are. You are the consciousness capable of seeing and changing all of them. This is why I now teach. Don't only interrupt old habits, but transcend the need for patterns. Become like the wind which wanders freely, assumes any shape, and is restricted by none. This is the ultimate escape from the current classical mess, conscious evolution. Every warrior's path reaches a point where they realize that simply adapting to change is insufficient. I used to advise you to be like water, but now I see that true mastery is in becoming the force that propels the water itself. Imagine awareness as an ocean. Most people float along the surface, reacting to every wave that comes their way. Some learn to dive beneath the waves, seeking peace in the depths. However, the great master, the true master, learns to create the waves themselves, becoming the force that shapes the entire ocean of experience. Allow me to express a deeper reality. In my early days, I believed that mastery meant completing oneself. Then I realized it was about self-expression. But now I see it as about transcending one's sense of self. This is how I define conscious development. When you throw a punch, the doer, doing, and deed combine into one. This oneness is the key to change. Most people live their lives separate. Their ideals are one thing, their actions are another, and their existence is entirely different. However, when all three are in sync, you become the art itself rather than just the artist. This is why I propose mastering transformation rather than just techniques. Each instant has the potential for complete transformation. The butterfly does more than just adjust to its cocoon. It completely changes its surroundings. This is the level of change that we must embrace. True power, my friend, does not come from resisting or even accepting change. It is altering itself. When you reach this level of awareness, you no longer see obstacles, but opportunities for growth. Every difficulty presents a chance for progress. Remember that the best martial arts are about conscious creation, rather than fighting against or even flowing with. You are not simply a practitioner of the art. You are the artist, the product, and the canvas itself. This is the most comprehensive integration of being and action. This is the art of conscious evolution, not just getting better, but growing more aware. Not only should you change your behaviors, but also your consciousness, as this is what creates your universe. Daily practices. Allow me to share with you the everyday acts that will transform these principles from mere thoughts to actual experiences. I used to give daily physical exercise, but now I offer daily mental training. Begin each morning with what I call the consciousness pulse check. Just like a boxer must know their position before fighting, you must also assess your mental and emotional state before embarking on the day. Observe your thoughts, tensions, and instinctive behaviors. This awareness transforms into a tool for transformation throughout the day. Practice what I call pattern interruption breathing. When you notice yourself repeating an old response, halt. Take one mindful breath in the time between stimulation and reaction. At that moment, you have the ability to choose a different choice. This is a demonstration of emotional fluidity in action. To discover mental patterns, use the 3-second reset technique that I showed you. Every hour, take 3 seconds to question yourself. Am I operating from pattern or presence? Your thoughts include signals, just like a punch has a telegraph. Learn how to catch them at the source. My buddy, the most successful practice is what I refer to as reality shaping. Choose one small action every day. It could be as simple as raising a cue hand, perform it with your entire mind, body, and intention. This is your modern one-punch practice, and you'll learn how to make the most of your punches with minimal but concentrated effort. Remember that these habits aren't meant to complicate your day. They are about paying complete attention to what you are now doing. This is how you transform any encounter into an opportunity for progress. As we near the end of this lecture, remember that every expert was once a novice who determined to advance. The route we've taken from liquid awareness to pattern recognition, mental Jeet Kune reality molding is more than just philosophy. This is your evolutionary blueprint. You see, Just as a caterpillar does not need to be taught how to become a butterfly, the power to metamorphose is already present in you. Your consciousness is not a fixed item that may be improved. Rather, it is a limitless power ready to be unleashed. The strategies I've mentioned aren't about reinventing yourself. They're about finding who you've always been. Consider your awareness to be a river that has been traveling the same path for many years. Today, you have the capacity to not only reroute that river, but to become the force that changes the entire landscape. This is no longer about battling with oneself. It's all about personal development. Remember that the ultimate technique is not a technique. The ultimate pattern is not a pattern. And the ultimate evolution is the moment-by-moment decision to let go of who you've been and become who you want to be. My buddy, this is my final call to you. Don't just follow their principles, embody them. Let each breath be an opportunity for mindful growth. For in the end, the greatest struggle is won through transformation rather than confrontation. Now, begin.